Welcome back. The Gupta family has dominated headlines over the past few weeks, but questions about Guptagate remain. The question is now, should South Africans continue to chase for answers? Well, let's chat to political analyst Professor Susan Booysen. A very good morning to you, Prof. Thanks again for your time. Should we keep digging?
I indeed think there's a lot to be dug at. Okay. South Africans need additional answers. The report that we've seen so far has been quite controversial in terms of omissions and vagueness, and it leaves more questions unanswered than answered. And when we get to a situation where there's so much at stake, it's the principles of accountability, transparency, democracy, even a breach of national security. This really requires further digging. A lot of it.
There's a culture in South African politics to just give, say, maybe a little bit of answers, a little bit of information, just to try and appease the public and leave it at that. Is it a culture that we're seeing now?
I think we've got quite a bit of it. We have seen quite a number of these scandals and gates and so on, from Oilgate to Nkandla Gate and you name it. And they tend to fade slightly off the radar screen after a little while, but they do not go away. They become these big elephants that have been in the room, but they swept under carpet, but they tap dancing under that carpet. So they just do not go away. They accumulate, and sooner or later they bounce back. We can see it in the arms deal scandal. It's now about 15 years after the first revelations, and it hasn't gone away. So I think the government should learn from that, and the ANC in government should learn from that. These are not going to go away. And I believe the more we see accumulating of these scandals, the harder they're going to bounce back and explode in parties' faces one day.
Do you think South African citizens are active when it comes to politics? Do we push hard enough for the answers? Do we keep our government officials accountable enough?
So far not. It's a kind of political culture we have at the moment. We generally, liberation movement, history, apartheid history, all those huge inequities, we understand that and tend to give the ANC a lot of grace. But we also see that South Africans, between elections, for example, they're outspoken. They even protest, sometimes a bit on the wrong side of the law. But they express themselves, and come election time, they generally unite ranks. In 2011 local government elections, we saw a bit of a change there, where more people abstained from voting, and the opposition parties like the DA made much more progress because they got just about every single one of their voters out. So South Africans don't necessarily turn against their government, but they try to keep them accountable between elections. But at this moment, I don't think we see enough scope for that. We see a huge outcry, and we see much despondency about the Guptagate affair, also from ordinary citizens, and very much from within the ANC as well. But the dominant hegemonic ANC suppresses it. And these are fine phenomena for now, but the longer term, there are serious implications.
And looking at the elections next year, do you think this will come back to bite the ANC in the backside, as it were? Will it affect them in the elections, do you think?
I think some way, definitely, yes. I don't think it's as if the ANC is going to lose the next elections, but I think they are going to suffer for it. They're not going to be, I don't think they will be chasing those two-thirds majorities anymore. No, in fact, slipping. We forget that it was largely KwaZulu-Natal, incredible performance there, that sustained the ANC to very high levels, 65% towards 66% the last time around. But that factor is now being cancelled out because that level of normality has already been reached. So the ANC in all other provinces had already declined in support, and nothing much that they've done in the meantime has indicated that we are likely to see a reversal of that. We also see, I really think we'll see much more of an abstention factor playing in. People are not ready to switch to opposition parties, mostly not, but then they want to show that they do not quite agree what this ANC is doing and how it's handling issues like democracy and sovereignty in the country.
And do you think, I mean, are you happy with the response that we've received from the presidency and the president when it comes to Guptagate? Should we be pressing for more, for him to come out and speak more on this issue?
I'm definitely not happy. There are so many questions that remain unanswered. I think in here we should differentiate between what we ought to know, what we as citizens as the real sovereign power in the country, should really be told, and what we likely be told. We have got every right to insist on being told what exactly happened here. Who is actually the power behind the throne? Is the person or the party that we've elected, is it actually they that call the shots, or is it some influential backer, financial backer behind the scenes? Out of respect for citizens, we really need to get more answers, and that is why this report was so unsatisfactory. A security establishment, intelligence establishment, some directors general were influential in that. It was an orchestrated, manufactured report. We didn't hear the whole truth.
We'll have to leave it there for now. Thank you so much for your time. That was Professor Susan Booysen giving us a bit of detail, some analysis, saying that South Africans should dig deeper when it comes to Guptagate. Let's take a look at your headlines now.
News that moves. eNCA.com.